There is a very haunting line in the Bible from Psalm 81 which says, "But my people did not heed my voice, so I left them in the stubbornness of their hearts to follow their own designs." Which is also enlightening because it helps us understand why things are so bad in the world. But what's haunting about it is the Lord is addressing us. But my people did not heed my voice. He doesn't say, but the unbelievers didn't heed my voice, or the pagans did not heed my voice, or the atheists did not heed my voice. He says, my people did not heed my voice. Those who belong to me, those who are in relationship with me, those I have formed a covenant bond with, the ones I have called to be the light to the nations, ushering in the promised one, the Messiah, those people, my people, are not listening to me. And so what could I do? They have free will. I will let them go their own way with their stubborn hearts. That's haunting. That's haunting. But I don't think any of us wakes up in the morning and says, you know, I don't want to hear God's voice today. You know, I'm going to do everything I can today to have a stubborn heart and go with my own designs instead of care about God's plan. I don't think that's how we wake up in the morning. I don't think that's our intention. If it is, well, maybe come see me and we can talk about it. I think we wake up with good intentions. I think we want to hear God's voice. I think we want to know what His plan is. I think we want to grow in holiness. I think that's our hearts. But that's not what happens. It's too easy for us to get wrapped up in other things and find that we've gone astray, that we're off track once again. We're not trying to be rebels, but we end up rebellious with stubborn hearts, following our own designs. It's like a spiritual deafness. It's like a sickness that needs to be cured. So we have Jesus, and that's what He has come to do. He has come to heal us. He has come to make us new. But it's probably not going to happen the way we were expecting, or maybe even the way that we want. These people bring this man who is deaf with a speech impediment to Jesus, and they say, just lay your hands on him. Because sometimes we treat God like a vending machine. You know, I hit the button, I get what I want so I can go my merry way. We would rather it happen that way. Just, here's what I want, thank you very much, see you later. Just lay your hands on him and then we won't bother you anymore, we'll get out of your hair. But that's not what happens. Jesus takes the man off to the side by himself. Because Jesus does what is best, even if it's contrary to what we are expecting. And we notice that this is going to be deeply personal, deeply intimate. This is a private matter. You come with me. And then, well, it gets awkward. Jesus puts his finger in the guy's ear. And then he spits and touches his tongue. And then he groans. That's awkward. That must have been very, very strange for this man. What are you doing? But it worked. And he can hear, and he can speak plainly. What happens next? He goes everywhere telling everyone about Jesus, even though Jesus asked him not to. Please don't tell people about me because they're not ready to understand. But he can't help it. You can't shut the guy up. He's out there telling everybody, I met this man named Jesus, and I was deaf and I was mute, and he healed me completely. So that's what happens when we encounter the Lord. He does something for us that we cannot do for ourselves, and then we go tell others what he has done because we can't help it, but also because we want everyone else to have the same experience. We want everyone else to meet Jesus and be healed just like we were. So that's discipleship, and that's evangelization. A disciple listens to the voice of the master. In order for us to listen, we have to be cured of our spiritual deafness. Whatever is the block, whatever is the problem, that has to get cured. And then once we are cured, then these two things are connected. We're going to tell others. We're disciples who evangelize because we've had this personal encounter with the living God, and it's changed our lives in the most wonderful way. And Jesus did it with his finger. The finger of God has created all things good. And now in the Gospels, the finger of God is making all things new in each act of recreation that Jesus performs. It is by the finger of God that Satan is cast out, proving that the kingdom of heaven is amongst us. So there's this finger of God that is doing this for this man. And Jesus wants to do the same for each one of us. But that means we are going to need to go away with Jesus alone for this one-on-one encounter. That means we're going to need to carve out time every day to just sit quietly and let Jesus minister to us. And you'll tell me, but Father, it's awkward. Yeah, it is. And Father, I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, none of us do. But if you do it and keep doing it, it'll work. Because Jesus is there, and he is real, and he heals. So if we give him the chance, that's what's going to happen. If we put ourselves in a position to encounter the living God, we won't be the same. We will be open to him, open to his touch, open to his word, open to that healing, that transformation. That's what we're doing in prayer. We are going aside for this personal, intimate, private encounter with Jesus so that we can be his disciples who are cured and now listen to his voice and then go from there to share him with others. What happens all too often is we try to live our lives as self-sufficient. And it's usually because when we were little, we were told things by the adults like, get along, get good grades, and don't get in trouble. And so that's what we tried our very best to do. And we could do it for a while until eventually we came up against our limitations, our own weakness and brokenness. And then we would feel bad. We would feel bad, like we were a disappointment, like we let them down, like we're a failure, like we're not good enough. And so because we're now carrying this pain of I wasn't able to be self-sufficient, now there's sort of this self-pity and this discouragement and this frustration, and we're all stressed out and overwhelmed, which means we're probably going to try to grab for something to give us comfort, something to hold on to. And if we grab for something other than God, then it's probably going to end up being sinful, separating us from Him and harming us in our relationships with others. But we don't know what else to do, so we're grabbing for help. And then if we continue down the path, it kind of leads to self-condemnation, where we're beating ourselves up and maybe even despairing a little bit, throwing up our hands, throwing in the towel. Why should I even bother? It doesn't work. I'm not good enough. Whatever that is, but it's a path of destruction. That's a path of destruction. So we typically are a very anxious people who feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders and it starts to crush us and we don't know what to do. That's self-sufficiency. That's the trap that we fall into. That's what we need Jesus to get us out of. He's going to rescue us from that. That path of destruction is why we're spiritually deaf and why we're not sharing faith with others. And so instead of self-sufficiency, we need dependence on God. Holy surrender, abandonment to divine providence, trust in His divine mercy, or as St. Therese called it, confidence and nothing but confidence. That should be our move. Not, I'll do it myself, but God, I need your help. And when we make that move and get that healing, what is the message we're going to hear once our ears are opened? It's the fulfillment of this prophecy from Isaiah. Say to those whose hearts are frightened. The other translation is, say to those who are anxious because they're trying to be self-sufficient, end up carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. Say to them, be strong, fear not, here is your God. He comes with vindication, with divine recompense. He comes to save you. What is the vindication? God conquers our enemies for us. What is the divine recompense? God provides for our needs. And what is this He's saving us from? It's our sins. Whatever has us trapped, whatever's crushing us, He's going to save us from that. So when we encounter Jesus and our ears are opened, that's the message that we hear. And it renews us and it fills us with hope. And now we're strong and we're ready to move forward. We're ready to belong to Him. We're ready to be sent by Him on mission. And what are we going to share with other peoples? We're going to tell them what Jesus has done for us. When I would sit quietly in prayer and it was awkward and I didn't know what He was doing, but I kept doing it, eventually here's what happened. Here's how He came to me. Here's how He healed me. So we're going to share our personal experience, but also we're going to share these very same words that now we can hear because we have faith. We're going to notice people in our life and we'll say, if your heart is troubled, if you're feeling anxious, like the weight of the world is on your shoulders because you're always trying to be self-sufficient, but you end up frustrated and discouraged, if that's you, I have a message for you. Be strong, fear not. Here is your God. Here is your God. He comes with vindication, with divine recompense. He comes to save you. And if you want it, all this is yours. If you're willing to consent, he will come to you. If you want to exchange your self-sufficiency for holy trust, it will be your greatest joy. I invite you to encounter the living God in Jesus Christ. I invite you to let him into your heart. I invite you to be vulnerable with him, to be opened by him, to be healed, to be set free, to be given your place in his kingdom. Jesus Christ loves you. He gave his life to save you, and he's with you every day to heal you, to enlighten you, to free you, to strengthen you, and to guide you. Let us meet Jesus Christ, and let us accept his saving power.